Da, 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 da. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another new episode of Galactic Explorers with your two favorite channelers, the lovely, as always, Miss Dallas, and the crazy, as always, myself, Daniella. Welcome back to the podcast where we take you to the earthly, everyday, scientific, metaphysic, and all the kinds of topics through the galactic perspective.
Welcome to Galactic Explorers.
And now we are coming to you with segments. Segments to break it up, segments to bring you all kinds of different information, and we will be sharing those, and some of them will be recurring, and there will be themes and all of the wonderful things. So please do send in your questions and themes of topics and all of the rest of that stuff, because we want to be addressing those in these segments, and we're just going to see how this goes and share this out and have a grand old time. So to begin, we're going to get started with Vibe of the Week. Vibe of the Week. This is the first week in September. I'm going to pull out my Illuminati cards. Da-na-na. 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 Do you have some already, Dallas?
Oh yeah, mine flew out. Like literally went ping, ping, ping. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. Okay,
This is what we're doing. Okay, well then. Whenever you're ready to share, mine will pop out, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, so I have, I'm doing my Oracle Archangel. Sorry, there you go. Good old Oracle Archangels. So 3 pops out, but they all kind of really go together. So we have Claire, can you see it? Claire, I can never see the word. Damn background. I gotta get rid of the background. I hate the background. Okay.
Clear
So
sentience?
Clear audience. We have breathe and sensitivity.
Clear audience.
It's all about checking in with yourself, being cautious with yourself, just taking your time. Allow yourself just to take it easy. Take some deep breaths. Listen to your body. If there's emotion or anything outside of yourself, check in, go back in, take a deep breath. And you don't have to give the answer right then and there or make a decision right then and there. Just, I'm right here. I'm right now. I'll be that.
Nice.
So there you go. Let's see if I can kind of get them. Nope. See, there's one. There's breathe.
There you go. Nice.
That's Archangel Raphael and Archangel. And now, oh, sorry guys. Sorry, I promise they're there.
I swears.
What you got? What you got?
All right. So we have our 3 of Cups.
Ooh.
There are 3 lovely ladies all doing a cheers. Their beautiful outfits. And as this card illustrates very well, it's talking about happiness shared with others, getting together, friendship in groups, socializing, social events, expressing joy in the everyday world. So like taking it in, expressing joy. The next one that came out was Temperance, which is a beautiful card, very almost Archangel Michael looking indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it's like you have these, everybody celebrating, and then literally the next card is, but don't get ratchet.
Don't get too crazy.
Don't get too crazy. Literally, it's like temperance and moderation, avoiding excess, finding a middle way, mingling many different approaches and things like that. Not just sticking to the old and fast way of doing things. So it's like, yes, enjoy and celebrate and all the wonderful stuff, but yeah, don't have to go to maybe the same excess or extremes in celebrating as we may have done in the past. And then last but most certainly not least, we have Miss, ooh, can you see it? The Princess of Swords. And she is Miss Elizabethan. Here we go. Bloop.
Yeah, that's a
There we
pretty
go.
one.
And it's essentially the idea of free thought, a rebellious thinker, um, inventive nature, fixing, it literally says fixing new ideas in reality, freedom from preconception or unquestioned ideas.
There you go.
I think that says it all.
Good stuff.
Vibe of the week. So, getting into today's topic, we've had a couple of questions about this, and so I'm going to try and just summarize them. It's the idea that people have really been starting to, one of the things that they've been really starting to ask is, do I actually have ADHD? Do I really have goldfish syndrome? Or is there something else happening? Is it that I'm getting multidimensional information? Is it actually that I'm being interacted with other beings or elementals, or like, is there something actually happening? Or is it just goldfish syndrome or ADHD?
Goldfish syndrome.
So, in this segment of Get Real, we're going to get real and talk about our thoughts on goldfish syndrome, or is it multidimensional mind? Dallas, your thoughts?
What do we say to that? Well, I think with a lot of kids these days, you see a lot more of the ADD aspects and the sensitivity
Mhm.
and like you have fidget spinners and you have all the fidget toys and we got to be constantly, we got to focus on something because we can't just sit, right? Where if you really think about when I was in school, I would have loved to have something like that because I was constantly like, I move, I have to move something.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm always like moving my foot or my
Right.
pencil or
Right.
click, 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 click,
Right. Yeah.
sensory kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm someone that's always kind of, and I've always been fidgety.
Me
So
too. I
what's
ended
wrong
up
with
chewing on
me?
all my pens because I couldn't make noise. So, yeah, I ended up chewing on all my pens.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
it's,
same thing.
and we're coming into a world of it being more acceptable, but in a way of we're having, they're not really just toys, they're actually outlets for these kids and for adults as well. And so I find myself with the fidget spinner and I love it. I love it. And I'll sit there and I just like, this is so entertaining for me. And I'm like, but then it also gives me a focus, right? And I see like going to my kids' school and stuff, I've seen kids that need something like that, but it gives them a focus. So it helps them calm down and then it helps them connect with the teacher and like, okay, I'm such a busy mind and I have to sit still, but I can't really sit still, but I can do something of movement. So it's definitely an energy movement that I think even the younger generation is pretty much all of them have. I mean, we all do, right? But it's more exploratory now.
Right.
And it's
So, do
like, oh,
you
we
think
have
that that's
this
more
for
like
this.
just medical, or do you think that it's actually because these kids are getting an influx of information and they just don't know how to focus?
I think it could be a lot of both. I mean, every child and every being is different. I can't speak on every single one. I think there's a majority of it of it's an overload of information, of energy, of being empathic as well. And so they don't know how to handle it because it's so much. And you go into school and then you have hundreds of other kids, on the playground or whatnot. And talk about like, I'm so stimulated right now, I don't know what to do,
Right.
um that it's learning how to go with your energy. It's learning how, oh, I don't have to take on everybody's energy. I don't, so I don't, I can connect with just my frequency. So I think it has a lot to do with frequency and the expansiveness of
Mm-hmm.
that person. And then, and how to handle that information, from parents to siblings to outside world influences. How do you process that when
Mm-hmm.
you don't really know what it is, or you're
Right.
not in that mindset of, oh, this is just outside energy, I got to look inwards. 5-year-old's not thinking about that, or their parents at this time. And I think that's where we're all shifting into self-care and realizing of, oh, this doesn't feel right anymore. I
Right.
need to remove myself from this, or I'm having so many like thoughts and feelings, and I don't know, like it's chatter, right? We think of all the chatter, it's just like our mind is so busy, and it
Mm-hmm.
is, but then it's also like your higher self trying to connect, right? Or
Yeah,
your
being
guides
hella
connecting with
stimulated in a
you,
lot of
or
ways. Mm-hmm.
there's other influences of entities possibly,
And then you
right?
get
Like
like TVs and phones and tech and all the rest, like just fully stimulating all the senses all the time.
yeah, and so it's an overload.
Yeah.
It's a total overload of, how do you handle it?
Yeah.
What is wrong with me? Do I need to see a therapist? Do I need to see a
Right.
psychiatrist? Do
That
I
was gonna be
need
my next question.
medicine?
Is
Do
like, so
I
how do you determine then if it's something that's like literally medically hardwired about you, like what they say ADHD is? It's like it's a like more of a medical hardwiring in your brain that you're just kind of fidgety and high energy and blah 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 blah
right,
blah blah, or is it that you're not necessarily wired that way like those people are, but you are symptomatically similar, but it's different because it's a different cause. So in the sense is like, and you were just leading right into the answer of that, is like, so how would you then go about determining that for yourself,
right,
right? Like how would someone go about determining what that is for
right.
themselves or for their kids, like you say?
Well,
Because like you can get them tested for ADD and ADHD, but it's like, are those tests strictly clinical? Do they have any, it's
of
like,
course they are, right?
where,
And they're,
it's like, so what do you do for the other half of the thing? And, just like thoughts on that before we get into tool time, because I know we're going to talk about some of our own solutions, because we both were literally in this boat trying to figure out whether there was like literally quote unquote something wrong with us, or there was something like medically different about us, or
right. I think you have to come to yourself of, there's nothing wrong with me. This
mm-hmm.
is who I am. How do I manage this?
Mm.
How do I what path do we go, right? So like I
Mm-hmm.
said, every being is different, and sometimes we do need medicine, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we do need therapy, or
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we need a fidget spinner,
Hmm.
or sometimes we need to find a tool that helps us manage to get through that day, to get through that moment, to get through those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
so that way we can function,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're not trying, like, I think Western medicine and that part is, growing up, I had a friend that was very much ADD and was on Ritalin and,
Mm-hmm.
like the stuff back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. 90s and yeah,
And
yeah.
she was a mess,
Mm-hmm.
a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to her now, she's like, I wish my parents found some other solution
Mm.
to get me
Yeah.
in a better space than just putting me on something and, wanting me to just be still, because she was altered. She was totally changed and just,
Yeah.
you know,
Zombified.
so how do you manage that, right? how do you, you use the things that the fidget things, or you find different alternatives, I think, and you really have to explore that. You have
Mhm.
to explore. And sometimes, like I said, you have to go to Western medicine, and we go down this route. Then you go, okay, is this medicine really going to help? Is this pill going to really do the trick? Or is it just going to numb it? Are you
Right,
going to
or
just
do I
be
get a
numb?
second opinion?
Right.
Where where
There's
do you
no wrong.
research? Yeah, who do you listen to? What, yeah.
Right. It's really finding, and that's where you go into trusting yourself, right?
Mhm,
Trusting
mhm,
where is right for me, which direction do I go?
mhm.
Because that's a world that we're still exploring.
Right. It's so
And
personal. Yeah.
yeah, and it can be very sensitive
Mhm.
of, no, we need this and to do this, and some fidget spinner is not going to fix that problem. Where, have you tried it? Or
Right.
have you tried something else? Or what have you really explored? What are you willing to explore?
Mhm.
What are you willing to try?
What options are
And
you
then not,
willing to look into and consider?
right, and not
Mhm,
look at it as a problem. Because
mhm.
when you look at it as a problem, it becomes a problem.
Correct. Either way, whether you're getting multidimensional information of an influx and you're being too stimulated that way, or if your brain's wired a certain way and you're too stimulated that way. Yeah, definitely if you look at it as a problem, oh, it
Right.
will be.
Right. So
Absolutely.
you got to look at it as, okay, what do we do? Where are we going
Mhm.
to go to make this more comfortable, to
It's
make
more
this
like it's a puzzle
manageable?
to solve rather than a problem or something.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
Mhm.
you got to look at it in that aspect of it. And that
Mhm.
can go with anything.
Sure. Absolutely.
But, you know, what are you going to do about it? And
Right.
how are you going to look at it? And how are
What
you
can you
going
do?
to,
Mhm.
yeah, function with that,
Yeah.
or with the person that has that, and not bring it up in a negative way?
Right. Right on. We got real. That's what it was. Yeah. That's pretty much the bottom line on that.
Yep, yep.
Yep. Oh, go to adjourn. Sweet. Well, yeah, absolutely. And good points well made all around. So, on that note, shall we say, or in that vein, because you literally, I mean, you led us right into it, which is so perfect, is our last segment of our new episode is called Tool Time. Or at least for the moment it is. And so we wanted to share some of the tools and ways, things, practices of these different topics that have worked for us in a hope that if you guys are open and willing and all of the things and looking for different things to try that are more holistic and generally non-invasive, right? That these might be some options for you because they worked for either or both of us, and we have been in a lot of similar situations as these questions. And so the sharing is definitely with the hope that there's people out there that this helps. So, tool time. Yeah, you almost expect Tim Allen to like walk around.
Oh God. The neighbor.
Today, yeah.
Oh, that was a good show.
Otherwise, yep. Okay, so we're
Tools.
talking about what kind of tools or products or things that we use to, in this case, work with the idea or discover, discern, find clarity on the whole idea of either within ourselves or our children, people around us, whether we're working with something actually medical, whether we're working with something spiritual, or whether we're working with some kind of combination thereof. In my case, what really, really helped me, and this goes along with the whole idea of what are you going to research and who are you going to listen to? Because much like you were sharing with your friend, we're of a similar generation. You're a little bit older than I am, but we're of the same generation in that sense. That I also grew up where half the people, half my friends wanted fucking Ritalin. you know.
Mhm.
And I was lucky in a sense, right, to have parents that even if they might have thought that I had ADHD, weren't about to put me on none of that. So it provided an opportunity for there to be other options. So when I got older and was still working with it, dealing with it, trying to manage it in my own way, which, like I said earlier, kind of just came in the form of chewing up my pen ends and giving myself something like, so this would focus me long enough for me to think a thought,
Mhm.
right? It's like some sort of sensory distraction so that you can think with the rest of your brain. Which
Yeah.
is
Right.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
But what really helped me were several books and authors that have tons of information on the subject, from medical and scientific to spiritual. Some of it is channeled works, and some of it is done literally, like straight on one by our own earthly people with a doctorate. Um, one of them is this. This is a beginner one. This is like a non-spiritual woo-woo, very good classic. What to say when you talk to yourself. This goes into the idea of the chatter mind with the ego.
Yeah.
So if you can start to identify, particularly, as a teenager, young person, how much of your brain is chattering to you that's an ego, you can start to identify what's an ego, what's your imaginary friend, what's yourself, and you can start to discern whether or not you're getting influxes of information intuitively, psychically, whether or not, like, who's talking. This gives you like a starting point as to who's talking, because it talks about what your ego is talking about, so you can learn to recognize that, and when it's not that.
Mhm.
Oh, there is something else here that I'm getting. Okay. So that was like one really big turning point for me. Um, Another one is this one. There's another good one. Handbook for the New Paradigm and the Law of One series. Whoop, let me get both of these in here. These are both channeled works, and they're really fucking dense. I'm gonna warn y'all, they're really, really hella dense. But a
Mhm.
lot of the concepts and things and the processes, and the experiences of the people that are the wanderers or the way showers or the light workers or whatever the hell indigo people that we wanted to call ourselves, they were really, really hella resonative, and was like, okay, some alien in the 70s is talking about this being an experience, and I wasn't even born until 87. Um, okay, that's got to be a thing.
Right.
So as far as considering that kind of information, and then some of the other authors that were really brilliant, that are, our Earth authors, right? Is a man called Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he does wonderful work. He's actually a medical doctor, professor, scientist, all the wonderful things that we expect in our accepted medical knowledge. But he does a lot of work on something called epigenetics and a lot of neurology, and how the neurons in your brain actually work, how the genes in your body actually work, whether or not genes can be passed on, whether things are genetic or not, the energetic interactions between all of that stuff. So his work, um, was really pivotal in realizing that there can be two sides to that story, the medical and the
Mhm.
spiritual, and that
Right.
they're often intertwined,
Mhm.
and that that's okay
Right. Of
and
course. Yeah.
natural, right? And
Yeah.
that's what we were talking about, that whole factor of it then not being a problem,
Right.
so that then you can actually find a solution, find ways to work with it, and utilize it as an ability to
Mhm.
be multitasking in your head rather than it being a burden
Right.
because you can't focus. So that was really pivotal for me. So there's my tool times through these books and these authors. Like, that was the information itself was
Mhm.
the tool. So definitely go check some of those out. If you want me to drop those links down below, drop that in the comments, because then I can put that in the description box for you guys, or answer you back in a comment. So there's that. Dallas, what helped you?
Where do I begin?
I know. That's why I had to pick one thing. I know. I
I
had
know.
to pick
I'm
one
like,
thing. That's why I was like, okay, the books. The books help me.
I got a couple things, and I'll be real
Okay.
short. So definitely I have crystals. And one of the ones, this one is citron.
Mm,
And it's very expansive in energy and transformation and brings joy. But someone gave me this and I was really drawn to it. And she was like, here, just have it. And I was like, okay. And this has been like the way it sits in my hand and I rub it, it's a sensory for me. It
nice.
does bring me down. It helps me to focus. It helps me just to go, I'm right here. I'm right now.
So it's almost like your fidget thing, but because it's also a crystal, you're working with the resonation, matching with
Yeah,
the resonation of the crystal itself rather than it just being fidgeting with your pen.
right. So
That's a neat idea. I love that.
it's, and it's a little bit of a big, but it fits in my
But
pocket.
it's
I
a
put it in my
hand-sized
purse,
thing.
or
Yeah.
it's perfect in my hand. And this is what I usually, it's got a great like divot where I can just
Nice. Check
fill,
that out. Yeah.
and
I would have
I
never
love
thought of
it.
that.
This has been my to go. It's my easy, my saving grace of just like if I'm driving or I'm at work, it's here. Or even when I'm doing sessions, it helps
Nice.
me
Yeah.
in so many ways to just bring myself to myself
Into a focus. Yeah.
into a focus. Um, some other things I do, I journal. So if I have such a
Mm.
busy mind that my mind is just, I journal. So I got journals for days.
Out the yin
So
yang.
journaling is one of the things that I do, and it actually has brought my awareness to free writing channeling.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So as I'm writing, I kind of found out that I was actually channeling.
Right.
And so the more I did it, and the more I was reading back, and I went, and then I could
Holy
hear
crap.
the differences of, wait, this isn't just my voice. This is another voice
Right.
coming through. This is another, okay. And so I started just writing and writing and writing. And then I was like, oh, I'm channeling. Like it brought me to another,
Nice.
this isn't just chatter. This is, well, it is, but it's a download or it's
There's
a message,
information there. It's
but
not
it's
just,
information.
yeah, like
It's
empty chatter.
so, you know, it helped me to get it out of my head and put it down on paper. And sometimes I could go back and read it, and sometimes I don't. And I just, okay, it's done and it's over with, and I move on.
Hmm.
So I always have a journal to my exposure. Even on my phone, I have notes
Nice.
that oh, something's coming through right now. I have to get this out. So
Mm.
writing has been, I think, one of the biggest
Nice.
saving grace for me.
Cool.
And it helps me develop the tool of channeling and free writing with channeling, to get that energy, to get those thoughts, to get downloads, whatever more out of my
Hmm.
mind,
Hmm.
and to free up space in there for me.
Perfect.
So, and then another one more thing I
Oh,
have
sure.
is I do a lot of affirmations,
Mm.
right? So I have these little note cards. It's not all the way full up, but I put notes on
Oh,
there
you made
for
little
myself.
flashcards for yourself.
Positive sayings like
Nice.
I am loved, I'm enough. Is this mine? Hey universe, what would it take? So anytime like I feel like I need a reminder, I go to my cards and go, okay, what do I need today? Something, oh, okay, yes, I am loved. Okay, great. And then I'll carry that throughout my day.
Hmm.
Um, that just helps to bring another focus of if
Hmm.
I'm feeling,
Hmm.
where
Really
question or
scattered.
what statement can I tell myself to bring me back into an alignment, or
Like
I'm
you use as
safe.
a
This
daily
is,
mantra or whatever for yourself.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that's another thing I have, and it's small
Nice.
enough. I keep it in my purse,
So you made
my
those
work
yourself?
bag,
Yeah. Did you make
and
those?
so I have my couple things that I do this almost every day,
Nice.
just about every day, maybe every other day.
Hmm.
Um, but that helps me to stay focused. It helps to get that energy out and to just, is this mine? Is what energy is going?
Hmm.
Okay, all right. Where's my mind at?
Right.
You
Did you
know,
make those cards?
No, I bought this.
Okay, where at?
Walmart. It was when the school, and I've seen these, and school supplies are out, so they're like flashcards.
Okay. So
And
you
I was
just made it
like,
and then you just filled them in yourself. Nice. Okay.
yeah, no,
Cool.
and I just, because they're blank, I haven't filled the whole thing in.
I see. Okay.
So, and I just write down whatever I think will help me. Or I'm like,
Mm.
ooh, I like that mantra. I'm going to write
Brings
that
you
down.
find
Or this
something.
question to bring in awareness. And I'll go through and I'm like, okay, let me just, okay, this is where, this is what I'm going to focus on today
Nice. I love
with
that.
my own kind of cards.
I love
But,
it.
yeah. So that's what I do to help me, right? Bring it in, will it in.
Perfect. I love it. Well, awesome. Hopefully that gives you guys some ideas and some starting points for if you out there or someone you know may be struggling with this kind of idea as to whether or not they're running away with the mind or if they're actually getting an influx of information all the time that they may not be knowing what how to deal with. I can totally talk, you guys. You know me. So thanks for joining us. That's the end of it. That's the end of our first new episode. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you like the new segment, the what we call it, the new format. Short and sweet, lots of stuff to think about,
Yep.
lots to share with you.
Yep.
So thanks for joining us. We love you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We're all over all the platforms and all the wonderful things. And we will see you next time when we are going to be talking about prepping for Mercury retrograde, y'all.
Dun,
Listen,
dun,
there's one
dun.
more. There's one more in the year, and it's coming this month. So we're going to be talking about prepping for it, ways you can prep for it. We've had a lot of questions about what do you do to prep for Mercury retrograde. So that is going to be coming up next week. We'll see you then.